What is up everyone, welcome back to a brand new video on Lex Alexis. Today, it is our championship score predictions on a Thursday. I know, bizarre right? Tomorrow, on Good Friday, we have got 12 championship games, and they are very crucial games as well. We've made it to match day 42. We could see Fulham promoted this weekend. We could see Peterborough and Derby, within 1 point of relegation. The stakes are just increasing by every single game week. So it's absolutely pivotal that we've got to predict these games. Now, for the Lex Alexis Football Prediction League, I've put the latest standings on the community post, so do check them out. But the competition ending very, very soon actually, and it's getting even more exciting to see what the final table is going to be come the end of the season. If you guys like what you see, please give the video a like. It just tremendously help the channel. Let's aim for 20 likes. I'll be terrifically appreciative. Please do hit the subscribe button for this channel. It also really helps the growth of this channel. And please also share this video to as many people as you can. All of that really helps too. But without any further ado, let's start predicting tomorrow's championship games. So the first game to predict is Luton versus Nottingham Forest. This game is a crucial game because it's two of the top six playing against each other, 5th versus 4th place. Both in really contrasting forms. Luton, since they had their really good spell getting them into the top 6 and being as high as 3rd place in the table, since then they've actually not been winning in their last 3 games, drawing twice and losing their last game, which was a Monday game against Huddersfield, where they were very poor first half, I felt. I think second half they were much better. Obviously, Adebayo missed a penalty as well. Had he scored that, it probably would have been a game-changing moment for Luton. But ultimately, they just didn't make their chances count, and they were really punished for it, because when Huddersfield got their second very late on, it was a mountain to climb for Luton to try and get back into it. And they would not want to face Nottingham Forest right now because their form is fantastic at the moment. 5 wins in a row, and they are definitely the informed team in the championship. And right now, if they keep this going, they're probably even keeping their eyes on Bournemouth, where they're only 6 points behind them as well. And they've got to play against Bournemouth as well at some point in the season still as well. So definitely it's going to be a really tough test for Luton. But Luton have been able to turn up against big teams before, against Fulham and Bournemouth. They've both put in very good performances for. So this one should be no exception. And because of that, I was thinking of edging Forest based on their form. But Luton, I think, will be a really difficult test for them. And for that reason, I'm going to sit on the fence and say a 1-1 draw. Fifa saying 1-0 Luton. So I think this is a really tight game. I don't think much will separate them. Next game is Birmingham versus Coventry. Now, the joke about this game is that they always seem to draw against each other. The last time a team actually beat one of the other teams was Coventry, but that was a League Cup game in 2012 where they were actually drawing at full time and they needed extra time to get the winner. So it is a joke that normally with these two teams they draw against each other. But I'm a little bit nervy with Birmingham in particular. They've only really scored one meaningful goal in their last 4 games, and that came from a really dubious penalty decision against West Brom as well. And I'm seeing Coventry, a team that have been a bit inconsistent as of late, but they actually put in a brilliant performance against Fulham last time, and that's what they're capable of as well. It's just a shame that Coventry do not consistently show that performance, and I think that firepower that they've got going forward, and I think that confidence and that good morale that they have, and for the fact, maybe I think top 6 will be too difficult for them, but for the fact they still have something very minimal to play for, that might edge them. Whereas with Birmingham, I don't really see them, having anything to play for, to be honest. And I think Lebo could start rotating this squad as well. So as a prediction, I'm actually going to not back the logic, and I'm actually going to say one of these teams is going to win, and I'm going to back a 1-0 away win to Coventry, bizarrely enough, and Fifa's actually going to agree with me. Next game is Bournemouth versus Middlesbrough. Now, this is as tough as Luton Nottingham Forest, but if not tougher to predict. I'm really not too sure with this game whatsoever, because both of the teams have not been so good with their form, considering where they're aiming to be in this season. You know, Bournemouth are aiming to be promoted, and obviously they lost one game and they've also drawn their last game as well against Sheffield United, which you would argue they were quite fortunate to draw that game as well. They definitely had a stonewall penalty denied for the opposition side, and Uremovic definitely should have scored his last minute chance as well. Then they face a Middlesbrough side who have lost back-to-back games, but they've both been home games. And one thing I will say about Middlesbrough's away form is that they've actually been really good at keeping the goals away from home. So they've actually managed to win 2 away wins in a row as well, and 3 consecutive clean sheets away from home as well. So it's going to be really tough to think, okay, can Bournemouth break this Middlesbrough side down? They have got Dominic Solanke, who's been nominated as one of the 3 players of the championship seasons. It's going to feel really interesting. I feel both teams really need to win, but especially Middlesbrough. They're currently outside of the top 6. They'll need to win this game to show they've got what it takes to play against the big guys. And actually, it could be really good practice for Middlesbrough if they do finish in the top 6. Now, I do think they're without Dale Fry, and I believe Isaiah Jones is a doubt. So it could be very dangerous for Middlesbrough's part, but they do have enough quality players to get a result, and Bournemouth have been a bit hit and miss as of late, and their previous home games, they squeaked a win against Bristol City, where I think they were quite fortunate for as well. So I think once again, with these big games, I think I'm really, nervy to even predict one team to win. So I'm just sitting on the fence. A bit cowardly maybe, but we could see a draw or 2 or 3 in this weekend. So once again, I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. I really cannot decide out of the 2 teams who I think is going to win this one. Fifa's deciding Bournemouth to sneak a 1-0 win, which honestly wouldn't even surprise me. Next game is Hull versus Cardiff. Now, this is a more chilled out game, I think, for me and most predictors to predict, because I think for me, both of these teams don't really have too much to play for now. So Hull are on 20th, and you're looking at the Cardiff team who are on 17th place. Form has been a little bit up and down a little bit for both of these teams. One thing I will say about Hull, they've got the worst home record in the league and losing their last 6 consecutive home games. Cardiff have managed to win their last 2 away games by a 2-1 scoreline, and one really impressive win over Reading as well. It was a gamble for Steve Morrison did tactically to change things in the second half, and it really paid off for Cardiff as well, which I think is why he's been given the nod that he can manage Cardiff for next season. And I think for this game, I think it'll be a bit similar. I just back Cardiff scored a little bit more to get the job done. I'm going to say a 2-1 away victory to Cardiff. Viva saying 2-1 Hull. I wouldn't even be surprised either. I think it's a really close game. Next game to predict is Peterborough versus Blackpool. Now, when I looked at this game, I just thought it should be a Peterborough win. I think Peterborough have been improving. They really have done, and they did get a 1-1 draw. In fact, they've actually been drawing their last 2 games both by 1-1, and actually getting a draw, especially against Luton. I think that was a really good one as well, although they'll feel very disappointed they didn't manage to win that game. Blackburn could be seen as a good target for Peterborough, because their form has been trickling, down the table, recently. They're 63 points at the moment in 7th place right now, and only a couple of bad results, then Blackburn will definitely be cut adrift from the top 6 race. But if Blackburn have the right mindset and mentality, and they'll know, okay, a win against Peterborough there will send them back up into the top 6 if results go their way, Blackburn could really turn up for this game and get something. But away from home, I just don't know. I really am not too sure against Blackburn, to be honest. I mean, I felt they were quite unlucky to not win their away game against Coventry when they drew in the 97th minute. And I think it'll be a bit of a similar game. I think it'll be very close. I think I'm going to edge Blackburn. And the reason being, I think the absence of Joe Ward for Peterborough is really bad. He was really the one for me, bombing forward, creating things, especially in a direct approach as well. He made things happen. I know they did manage to get a goal without him, but throughout the whole 90 minutes, I think not having Joe Ward on the pitch for how influential he is going to be a blow for Peterborough. So I'm going to edge Blackburn for a 2-1 away win, and Fever's going 2-0 Peterborough. I think it's going to be a really exciting and an interesting game to see the outcome of, to be honest. Next game is Preston versus Millwall. Now, we're seeing 2 mid-table teams against each other here. I would definitely say Millwall have got a lot more to play for than what Preston have at the moment. I mean, their top 6 hopes, are they fading away a little bit for Millwall? They're 4 points off the top 6 with the same amount of games being played. their form would have to be close to faultless if they do want to sneak into the top 6 at the end of the season. It goes to show the standard for top 6 is really high this year. With Preston, I mean, they're definitely not getting top 6. They're 4 points behind Millwall, playing the same amount of games as them. But their home form has improved a little bit, which is something I've criticised Preston for a little bit. But their home form has definitely been on the up. They've won their last 3 home games, and they've put in great recent performances against Bournemouth and against QPR very recently as well. Millwall, though, are always a very tricky customer, and I think Millwall, with their brilliant performance against Barnsley last weekend, I am a little bit thinking that they could get something in this game, although away from home, they've not won in their last 3 away games. So with that in mind, I think they'll naturally cancel each other out. I'm going to say 1-1 once again. FIFA's actually going to agree with me this time and say 1-1 as well. Next game to predict is Sheffield United versus Reading. Now, this is a really big game because, you know, it really talks about 2 positions of the table and 2 meaningful positions. Sheffield United would be hoping to win this game. It definitely can put them at least up to 4th if results go their way this weekend, and Sheffield United will definitely tighten their grip onto the top 6 with only 4 games left. But with Reading's sake, if they win this game, then they would most definitely be at least only 1 point away from securing Championship survival, no matter what result, you know, any of the bottom 3 teams have. So this is a really crucial game for Reading. They really missed, you know, a blow, because a draw in this game, had they won their last game against Cardiff, would have been enough to send all 3 of the bottom 3 down. But obviously they lost against Cardiff, so they're going to have to keep going. And, you know, I think this is going to really test their mentality and their nerve. Can they hold their nerve? Can they, you know, stay comfortable with the amount of points that they managed to increase for themselves from the bottom 3? Because Reading can still be caught, especially Barnsley, if they can actually capitalise with the games they've got in hand. So it's going to be interesting, but I do think Sheffield United will win simply because I think their defensive record at home is outstanding. 3 clean sheets in a row against tough teams as well, like QPR and Bournemouth as well. So I think Sheffield United will continue their clean sheet record here, and I'm going to say 2-0 Sheffield United, and FIFA saying a 0-0 draw. Honestly, that actually might not be a bad shout by FIFA there. Next game is Stoke Bristol City, a bit similar to Hull and Cardiff I'm thinking for this game. Both teams not really much to play for. It could either see both teams really being dull going forward and not really offering too much energy, or it could mean that both teams will go gun-ho wanting to prove something, but then defensively they're not quite switched on. And what I'm going to do to make things interesting, I want to go for the latter. I really want to predict an insane scoreline here. So I think Stoke recently with their form, I think they have really been improving. They've won 3 games out of their last 4. Bristol City have been very inconsistent. They've been very up and down with their form. Only 1 win in their last 6 games as well. And that win was also a last-minute winner against Blackburn, when they would arguably have not deserved to win that game too. And I think the Bristol City fans would want to see a response from Bristol City. They've been very disappointed what they've been seeing recently, and their optimism is not that high for next season. I think for Stoke as well, I think fans are very disappointed in their seasons. This game just depends, okay, which team is most determined to try and give something back to the fans. So as a prediction, I have a feeling that we're going to see some goals, and we do tend to see a load of goals go in for Bristol City games especially. So as a prediction, I'm going to go for 3-2 home win to Stoke. I'm hoping that I'm not proven wrong and it's a dull 0-0 draw. FIFA's gone for 3-2 Bristol City, so maybe FIFA and I have got very similar ideas going on here. Next game is Swansea versus Barnsley, a very crucial game once again for the relegation battle as well. If Barnsley do not win this game, they would only be within a matter of points of confirming relegation, and I'll be a bit upset if all 3 of the relegated teams are confirmed as early as this in the season, because one thing that really defines a really good season is a relegation on the last day of the season, which it looks like this season we may not get that, especially Swansea continue with their form, where Swansea have really come to their own this season now. They're unbeaten in their last 5 games, and they've won 4 of those 5 games as well. At home, they've been relatively comfortable very recently. I think the signings they made in January especially have really put Swansea on another level actually, and I think they will edge this Barnsley team. I just think their confidence is going to trounce over this Barnsley spirited squad. So I'm going to say maybe a 3-1 victory to Swansea. I think they've got a load of goals within them. Fifa saying 2-0 Barnsley, which would be a bonkers but an incredible result for the relegation battle. Next game is West Brom versus Blackpool. You struggle to believe that this is actually a mid-table battle, especially when you throw West Brom into the mix, but this is a mid-table battle. Now, unfortunately for Blackpool's sake, they've really dropped down the table quite recently. They're winless in their last 4 games. And with West Brom's sake, they've just been really inconsistent. You know, in those 6 games, they've actually managed to beat Fulham and they managed to beat Bournemouth in their last 6 games, which is absolutely unbelievable. But then also, you squeak in a 3-1 defeat against Stoke at home and a 1-0 defeat to Birmingham, where they had not scored in their last 4 games. So West Brom, it just depends what version of West Brom we get. If you get the good version, West Brom should win this comfortably. But if you get the poor version, they'll give any team, or opposing team, at least a game. So I'm going to sit in the middle for that, because I think Blackpool can defensively be really, really good there. And I think especially with the injury they've got for their goalkeeper Grimshaw, I think they definitely would be wanting to keep Chris Maxwell with a lot of protection there. And for how West Brom have not really been scoring enough goals this season, I'm going to actually go for a 0-0 draw in this game. I've not predicted a 0-0 draw for a while, but with West Brom games, you do typically see a 0-0, so I'm actually going to predict a 0-0 draw for this game. And Fifa's actually going for a 1-1 draw, so not too dissimilar predictions there. The penultimate game to predict is Huddersfield versus QPR. Now, this is a later kickoff game, and I'm really intrigued for this one. I think Sky were thinking of putting this game thinking, okay, this is going to be a top 6 clash, but unfortunately, this is not really looking like a top 6 clash anymore. If anything, if Huddersfield win this game and they're on 72 points, I could really see Huddersfield only needing one more win, and then I think they've secured top 6. I'm serious. I think Huddersfield are that close for getting into the top 6. I think that win over Luton in midweek, I think, has really made them strong favourites. In fact, if anything, second strongest favourites of getting to the top 6 alongside with Nottingham Forest now. And I cannot believe I'm saying that as well, but I've got to give Huddersfield some credit. They've got great players in their squad. They really do. They turn up on the day and they always perform like underdogs and they prove people wrong. And I've got to give them credit for that. I've got to give them a load of respect for that. They're playing against a QPR side where I think out of any team that Huddersfield would want to play, it's QPR. 5 defeats in a row. They don't really look like they're going to win anytime soon. I mean, just having the injuries of Barbe and Dickey and Dieng and Marshall and Willock, it's decimated their squad. So very unlucky with injuries this year, QPR, and they'll be wanting to try and have another really good season for next year. For this game, though, as a one-off, I'm going to think Huddersfield will win this by 2-0. I was thinking 2-1, but I actually have been praising Huddersfield for their defensive solidity. So I'm actually going to say this will be another clean sheet. So I'm going to say 2-0, and FIFA is saying a 0-0 draw. Last game to predict is Derby Fulham, 8 o'clock kickoff. Crucial game. Very similar to the Sheffield United Reading game. Both games very, very important for different positions of the table. Now, Fulham could get promoted in this game if Forest somehow lose against Luton, which they could lose to Luton, but they got to beat Derby. Now, had they beaten Coventry, they would have only needed 2 points, you know, in this game to go up, but they would have to now rely on results going their way to get promoted in this weekend as well. So I think Derby will prove in a very spirited performance. They've won 4 home games in their last 6 home games. So Derby at home can give Fulham a really good game. Fulham, what we do tend to see when they do lose a game, it reminds me a bit of like Man City or Liverpool when they lose a game. They really respond. They do bounce back from games really, really well. But if Derby score first, then I think Derby could get something. But if Fulham score first, I think it will be a mountain to climb for Derby, and it could be 2, 3 or 4. As a prediction, I think this will be very cagey. I think Derby and Wayne Rooney will set up a really tough defensive team to break down, and it'll have to be patient play for Fulham. And I think one chance they'll get it. So I'm going to say a narrow 1-0 win to the away side. And FIFA's gone for 1-0 Derby, which honestly, it does have that feeling that it's going to be a 1-goal game, and whoever scores first will win the game. So guys, that wraps it up for my predictions for the Championship for Friday. So guys, make sure you comment your predictions as well in the comments down below so you can enter into the Lesser Football Prediction League. On the left hand side of the screen are my Premier League predictions for the upcoming games as well. Please make sure you predict those games too. But that'll have to wrap it up, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed it, please give the video a like. It just tremendously helps the channel. Please do hit the subscribe button for this channel. It does really help the future. And please share this channel to as many people as you can. It does help the growth of this channel. But that will be it. Thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are legendary. It's on the end of this video. And as always, I'll see you guys soon. Take care, everyone.